Good afternoon, everyone. As we all know that food waste is a global concern, and in Sweden alone it's more than 1.2 million tons of food which is wasted annually. And it's not stopping, and it's increasing roughly by 9% every year. And the major sector for the waste is supermarkets, restaurants, catering facilities, households. But what you can see is most of the waste is unnecessary waste. And that's where we see there's an opportunity, and the name of that opportunity is Food Loop. Our mission is to return edible fruits and vegetables, which otherwise would have been thrown away, back into the food supply chain. And how do we do this? Let's see.
Nature is efficient. Food loop back to it. We reconnect the system by taking food from stores, supermarkets, homes, and restaurants, and through our environmentally friendly bike transport delivery system, we transport that food to sorting centers, where that food then becomes available for charities. We can create meals for those that are not able to purchase meals on their own, culinary schools or other organizations who can prepare ready-made meals for sale, and other innovators who would like to innovate around the food space. So in essence, what we are creating is a real-life API. We allow people to connect to us to do what they need to do, and we make sure that we keep that conduit going. The other side of the loop is that all the food that is not edible can be returned to our system, where we provide a composting service. And that composting service can be linked into urban agriculture in the way of creating nutrition-rich compost and fertilizer to be fed into hydroponic, aquaponic systems or into local food growing organizations. Our volunteers who bike the food from the organizations that we get it from to our sorting centers could be remunerated through getting meals for their next day. So if you take a meal on your way to work, you can get a meal for lunch when you come back tomorrow from one of our partners. So our main revenue streams would come from people being able to purchase the stock that we get in on a daily basis, which will be updated when it's at the sorting stage. They could order online and have that delivery system put into practice, where they pay for that delivery to them and the waste material taken back from them at the end of that process. The other revenue would be from the composting and selling to nurseries and to the individuals who need the composting or fertilizer. So make use of waste, don't waste it, innovate. Thank you.
Just a question about is the store going to sell waste to you, or are you going to buy?
That was a very big issue that we had to grapple with yesterday. Legally, the law says they can't sell food to us if it has passed an expiry date. It has to be prepared within the organization if it's going to be sold, which is why we would focus mainly on the unpackaged fruit and vegetables, because that does not fall into that main law, which allows us to be the third party to take it away. And part of the value add that we would offer to them is to those culinary schools or organizations that can create food, we might be able to give a portion back to them to sell so that they can actually get some sort of revenue from that.
Yeah.
And is that, did you run into any legal implications selling back the food that's been repaired? And is that something that is part of the logistics of your company?
Initially, it's not the part of the logistics. This is a minimum viable product where we provide that conduit or that interface for others to interact with us. Hopefully, we will be able to get the culinary schools or whoever to create that. Time limit would be the issue, in that once you prepare it, it extends the lifetime a little bit, but it's on a daily basis. So anything we get today will probably be cooked today and will be back to them. And if it's not consumed, we could pick it up again on the next run into our composting.
I think I think it's definitely an interesting idea. I think one of the problems is that the systems that exist today are always taking food and putting it to the lowest entropy level, using it as fuel. What's interesting is if you use it at a high entropy level. I mean, it is a yogurt, you shouldn't make it fuel. And I think what the biggest problem with all of those platforms are that consumers are not used to buy stuff at that level. Like, for example, no fermented tolerant foods at all. And the consumers don't know because they're just going there to eat it. Because, I mean, if you look at yogurt being thrown away, that could very much be used for fermenting food. The problem is that consumers, at least in Sweden, are not used to eating like especially fermented foods. So I think one of the things that we really need to change, if you're not getting a very low entropy level and using waste, is really making people aware. Like if you look at the the guys in Helsingborg selling recycled fruit the same way. The problem is they can only make they can only make non-repeatable fruit batches. They don't know how much bananas and apples they're going to get at a given day, which means that they can't do it industrially. And the problem for the consumer is that you're going to get a very random marmalade. Like you get like, okay, so it's banana and strawberry marmalade today, and the next time you come there, it's banana and blueberry marmalade. And oh, I really like the strawberry one, and you can't repeat it because you don't know what quantities to have. So that is the thing I think to make people aware, or give them whatever. Give them a discount, or giving the stores a discount for the food that goes back to them or something.
We did a survey.
Yeah, we did a little survey in ICA, and just to know what like people would think about this kind eating like kind of second-hand food. And the survey was not really like scientific. We just interviewed like 10 people. Mostly young people, so like it could be like a growing target. And like there were like 60% of them, they were really, they considered the idea really good to solve the particular problem of food waste. So like the impact was really positive on those people. Yeah. Yeah, this was the first question is like about the food wasting, and as you can see, like in a bigger scale from one, how do you feel about food waste? Comfortable and very uncomfortable. Like most of the people, like 90% of them feel really uncomfortable. So like they feel that there's this big problem, and just go through. And yeah, also about the question, like, would you buy this kind of second-hand food? They were really quite agree on doing this, and so yeah, I think there's a potential in this area, and also we have really like good influence. They said they would like to spread the word on fellow friends, and like no one was disagreeing in doing this. So we saw like a quite good potential in this.
So we're hoping that
Okay,
this whole process.
One more question. So
You say first what you want to say.
Right. We're hoping that by creating the system would be able to show the traction that is required to be able to change the legislation a bit, because the packaged foods that the legislation prevents from being sold, most of them are also edible, and it's just because it's got a packaging and a date on it, it doesn't change some of it, not everything, but most of it can also be put into the cycle. So hopefully legislation can be convinced to relook at this.
yeah,
I
just a quick
just want to say from an industry point of view, we are looking for solutions like this, and we found one that's called Allwin that will buy products that we can't sell anymore, even though the test before date hasn't expired. The trade won't buy it once, and they go to charities. So that's one idea, but then there's a need for more initiatives like this. So I will open it.